Dive into CTRL ALT DEFEAT, a tech romance about finding purpose after a devastating breakup. Meet Justin Brown, a brilliant backend architect reeling from his ex-girlfriend's engagement, who was abruptly pulled from his 6-week heartbreak marathon by his charismatic college friend, Chen. Chapter 1. The Cave Dweller. Justin Brown was having what could only be described as a moment. And by moment, I mean the kind that lasts approximately 6 weeks, involves 3 pairs of unwashed sweatpants, and features more takeout containers than a small landfill. The glow of his triple monitor setup illuminated his face in the darkness of his apartment. An apartment that had once been featured on his ex-girlfriend's Instagram with the caption, "Cozy Minimalist Vibes, Sheikh," but now looked like a Best Buy had an intense collision with a Pizza Hut. "Die, you pixelated bastard," Justin muttered, mashing buttons on his controller with the intensity of a man trying to defeat more than just the boss on screen. He was trying to defeat the memory of Madison. Madison with her perfect hair, her infectious laugh, and her recent engagement to Brad, a guy whose jawline had its own Instagram following. Brad. Even the name sounded like it came pre-installed with a trust fund and a boat. Justin's character died spectacularly, exploding into 1,000 digital pieces. Much like his heart. Very poetic. Very painful. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. Probably his mom again, asking if he was eating enough vegetables and maybe considering therapy. The answer to both was a resounding no, but he loved her too much to say it out loud. The phone buzzed again, and again. For the love of! Justin grabbed his phone, ready to silence it forever, when he saw the name. Chen. Derek freaking Chen. They'd been inseparable during their computer science program at Berkeley, back when Justin's emotional range extended beyond numb and slightly less numb. Derek had graduated and immediately disappeared into the Bay Area tech scene, occasionally surfacing with Instagram posts from exotic locations with captions like, "Building something special," that made Justin want to throw his phone into the ocean. But curiosity, that treacherous cat killer, made Justin answer. "What?" "Justin, my man, how's the best programmer I know?" "Currently debugging my life. It's not going well. Everything's deprecated, including my will to live." "Perfect!" Derek's enthusiasm was the auditory equivalent of a golden retriever on cocaine. "That means you're available." "Available for what? A funeral? Because I'm already attending my own, metaphorically speaking." "Dude, are you still moping about Madison, the girl who pronounced GIF with a hard G?" "That's actually a good point." Justin sat up slightly. Madison had been a hard G person. Monster. "Listen, I'm calling because I'm putting together a team for a crypto startup. Revolutionary stuff, Justin. We're talking decentralized social media platforms, blockchain-based content verification, the whole 9 yards. And I need a back-end architect who's actually brilliant, not just Stanford brilliant." Justin snorted. "Crypto? Isn't that whole thing basically dead? Didn't we collectively decide it was just elaborate beanie babies for tech bros?" "See? That's exactly the kind of healthy skepticism I need. Everyone else just nods and agrees with me. It's exhausting being surrounded by yes men. I need a no man. Be my no man, Justin." That's the worst pickup line I've ever heard. I'm serious. 6-figure salary, equity stake, and we're based in Austin. You can get an actual house there for what a parking space costs in the Bay Area. Justin looked around his apartment. A pizza box stared back at him judgmentally. "Was it from Tuesday? Last Tuesday? Which Tuesday?" "I don't know, man. I'm kind of in the middle of something here." "What, your heartbreak marathon? Dude, you've been posting video game screenshots at 4 a.m. for 6 weeks. Your LinkedIn profile might as well say, will code for emotional stability. You've been stalking my LinkedIn? Prefer the term strategic talent reconnaissance. Come on, Justin, what's keeping you there? Madison's gone, your job is soul-crushing. I like my job. You literally told me last year that you'd rather refactor legacy COBOL code written by upset raccoons than go to another staff meeting. Fair point. The answer is no, Derek. I appreciate the offer, but I'm not in a place to upend my entire life for a maybe startup in a city where I know nobody. You know me. Exactly. That's the problem. Derek laughed. Think about it. Real job offer, Justin. I'm sending you the details. We start in 3 weeks. Austin, Texas, breakfast tacos, live music, and a company that might actually change how people interact online. Plus, a reason to shower regularly again. I shower. Do you, though? Justin opened his mouth to respond, caught a whiff of himself, and reconsidered. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. Check your email. And Justin, Madison was wrong about you. You're not emotionally unavailable. You're just regularly available to the wrong people. The line went dead. Justin sat in the darkness, controller forgotten in his lap. The menu music of his game played on loop, tinny, repetitive, mocking. His email pinged. Derek worked fast. You had to give him that. The subject line read, "Stop feeling sorry for yourself and read this." Despite himself, Justin smiled. It was small, rusty from disuse, but it was there. Maybe Derek had a point. Maybe the best way to get over someone wasn't to bury yourself in a cave of digital distraction.
Maybe it was to actually, do something. He clicked the email. Chapter 2, The Accidental Yes. 3 weeks later, Justin stood in front of a converted warehouse in East Austin, sweating through his good interview shirt and questioning every life decision that had led him to this moment. The building looked like someone had given a Pinterest board sentient life. Exposed brick, industrial lighting, murals of geometric shapes that probably meant something to someone. A neon sign above the entrance proclaimed Chainlink Labs in letters that glowed with the confidence of venture capital funding. Justin had meant to say no. He'd really, truly meant to decline Derek's offer, thank him politely, and return to his comfortable cocoon of misery and ranked matches. But then his mother had called. "Honey, I ran into Linda Peterson at Whole Foods. You remember Madison's mother? Lovely woman. Anyway, she showed me pictures from the engagement party. Such a beautiful couple. Brad's family has a house in the Hamptons. Isn't that wonderful? Maybe you could find a nice girl like Madison." Justin had clicked accept offer before his mother finished her sentence. Spite, the ultimate motivator. Now, standing in the Texas heat, and Texas heat was a special kind of oppressive, like being slowly roasted by an upset sun, Justin wondered if spite was really a solid foundation for major life decisions. "Justin, you beautiful, socially awkward genius!" Derek burst through the doors like a charismatic hurricane, all white teeth and expensive sneakers. He looked exactly like his Instagram, tan, fit, radiating the kind of confidence that came from never being rejected by anyone or anything. "How was the flight? The apartment I arranged? Are you settling in? Of course you're not. You just got here. Stupid question. Come in, come in. The team's dying to meet you." Team? Justin's voice cracked. He'd been promised coding, not socializing. This felt like a bait and switch. "Relax.
It's just 5 of us right now. 6 with you. Small, scrappy, ready to disrupt an entire industry or die trying." Derek paused. Preferably not the dying part. VCs get weird about that. The interior of Chainlink Labs looked like every tech startup Justin had ever seen in a documentary. Open floor plan, standing desks, a kitchen area with a coffee machine that probably cost more than his car, and inspirational posters with words like innovate and disrupt in aggressive fonts. 3 people looked up as they entered. "Team, this is Justin Brown, the backend wizard I told you about. Justin, meet the dream team." A tall black man with impressive dreadlocks and a t-shirt that read, "There's no place like 127.0.0.1 stood first. Marcus Williams, front-end developer and professional skeptic. "Nice to meet you, man." Sarah Chen, a petite woman with bright pink hair and about 7 visible piercings, waved enthusiastically. Derek's sister, head of marketing, and the only person here with actual social skills. "That's debatable," muttered the third person, a pale, thin guy who looked like he'd never seen the sun. Trevor, DevOps,
Don't touch my servers. Wouldn't dream of it, Justin said. And our 5th team member is... Derek looked around. Where's Riley? Meeting with the legal consultant, Sarah said. Contract stuff. Should be back any minute. Right. Riley Kingston, our product manager / UX designer / person who keeps us from building things only we would use. You'll like her. She's smart, funny, and she once told me my idea was aggressively stupid to my face. I like her already, Justin said. The door opened behind them. Derek, we need to talk about the liability clauses in the... Oh, hi, new person. Justin turned around and immediately forgot how language worked. Riley Kingston was not conventionally beautiful. She was better than that. She was interesting looking. Sharp features, intelligent eyes behind thick-framed glasses, dark hair pulled into a messy bun that suggested she had more important things to think about than hairstyles. She wore jeans, combat boots, and a vintage band t-shirt for a group Justin had actually heard of, which in his limited experience with women was basically a unicorn sighting. Justin, meet Riley. Riley, Justin. He's going to architect our back end. Is that a euphemism? Riley asked, deadpan. Justin's brain rebooted. What? No. I mean, the technical back end, the server architecture, the database design. Not a euphemism. Smooth. Very smooth. Definitely making a great first impression. Riley's serious expression cracked into a smile. I'm kidding. Welcome to the circus. Fair warning, Derek's enthusiasm is directly proportional to how underfunded we are. Hey, Derek protested. It's true, and you know it. She turned back to Justin. What's your take on crypto? Honestly, I think it's a solution in search of a problem. Most implementations are environmental disasters, and 90% of the projects are just elaborate Ponzi schemes with better marketing. The room went silent. Justin immediately regretted every word. Great. He'd been here 5 minutes, and already... Riley's smile widened. Oh, thank God. Someone else who lives in reality. Derek, I like this one. Can we keep him? That's what I keep telling him. Derek threw his hands up. Skepticism. That's what's going to make us different. We're not crypto bros. We're crypto skeptics building something that might actually work. Might being the operative word, Marcus added. Baby steps, Sarah said cheerfully. Justin found himself relaxing, slightly. These people seemed normal? Well, normal for tech people, which was a low bar, but still. Riley pulled up a chair. Let me guess. Recent breakup? Dead-end job? Derek called you with promises of equity and purpose? Are you psychic? No, just experienced. That's Derek's entire recruitment strategy. She shot Derek a look. No offense. Some taken, but I'll allow it because it works. Derek clapped his hands together. Okay, team meeting in 5. Justin, grab a laptop. There's a box of new MacBooks in the corner. Take whichever one speaks to you. And let's get you up to speed on what we're building. As Derek bounded off to prepare his undoubtedly over-enthusiastic presentation, Riley leaned toward Justin. Fair warning, he's going to use a lot of buzzwords. Take a shot every time he says paradigm shift, and you'll be unconscious in 10 minutes. Noted. Any other survival tips? Yeah, the coffee machine looks fancy, but only makes terrible coffee. There's a place 2 blocks away called Joe's. Get the cold brew. It'll change your life. More than moving to a new state for a crypto startup? Way more. Trust me. Their eyes met. Justin felt something shift. Subtle, like the first movement in a Jenga tower that could either stabilize or collapse. I'm going to Joe's, Riley announced to the room. Justin, you're coming with me. You look like you need decent caffeine before Derek's presentation. I haven't even set up my... It can wait. Trust me, you'll need fortification. And just like that, Justin found himself following a woman he'd known for 5 minutes out into the Austin heat, wondering if, maybe, just maybe, Derek's crazy plan wasn't entirely insane. Chapter 3, Coffee and Complications. Joe's Coffee was exactly the kind of place Justin expected in Austin. Aggressively hip, filled with people typing on MacBooks, and decorated with local art that ranged from genuinely interesting to, was this made by someone having a breakdown?
2 cold brews, Riley told the barista, a guy with a mustache that had its own architectural integrity. And whatever pastry looks least likely to kill us. The scones are fresh, Mustache offered. Perfect. 2 scones. Living dangerously today. They settled into a corner table, and Justin immediately felt the awkward weight of forced social interaction. What did people talk about? He'd forgotten. For the past 6 weeks, his most meaningful relationship had been with his gaming headset. So, Riley saved him. So, what's her name? Whose name? The Heartbreak Girl. The reason you're in Austin rebuilding your life. I'm guessing Madison? Maybe Emily? You look like you've dated an Emily. Madison? How did you... Like I said, Derek has a type he recruits. Brilliant, underutilized, recently emotionally devastated. He thinks broken people work harder. That's actually kind of dark. Derek's a complicated guy. Half golden retriever, half shark. The shark part is why we have funding. She took a sip of her coffee. So, Madison, what happened? Why do you want to know? Because we're going to be working together for the next however many months, and I prefer to know people's damage up front. Makes things easier later when you inevitably have a breakdown in the office. Justin couldn't tell if she was joking. Her delivery was so dry it could absorb an oil spill. She left me for a guy named Brad, he heard himself say. Brad who has abs you could grate cheese on and who makes more money than I probably will in my lifetime. They got engaged after dating for 3 months. 3 months! We dated for 2 years. Ouch. Yeah. Let me guess. You were the nice guy, supported all her dreams, listened to her problems, basically auditioned for the role of perfect boyfriend? Yes, that seems like what you're supposed to do. Riley shook her head. That's what's supposed to work in theory. But here's the thing about people like Madison, and I'm just guessing here, so tell me if I'm wrong. She probably said you were too comfortable, or didn't challenge her, or some variation of, you're perfect, but I feel no excitement. Justin stared at her. Did you bug my apartment? Nope, just seen this story before. She broke off a piece of scone. Here's the truth. Madison didn't leave because you weren't good enough. She left because she's the kind of person who needs constant validation, and nice guys like you give it too freely. Brad probably treats her like she's disposable, which makes her work harder for his attention. It's a trap. That's really cynical. But am I wrong? Justin thought about it. Thought about all the times he'd rearranged his schedule for Madison's convenience. The times he'd supported her career moves, even when they meant less time together. The way she'd constantly post about him on social media, like he was an accessory to her aesthetic life. No, he admitted, you're not wrong. The good news is you're now geographically far from Madison and can rebuild yourself into someone who doesn't lose themselves in relationships. The bad news is you're working at a startup, which means no time for relationships anyway. It's perfect. You're really selling this. Riley grinned. I'm head of marketing for a reason. Speaking of which, what do you actually know about what we're building? Honestly, not much. Derek was heavy on enthusiasm, light on details. Typical. Okay, crash course. She pulled out her phone and started sketching on a napkin with a pen she produced from seemingly nowhere. Current social media, centralized platforms that own your data, monetize your attention, and can shut you down arbitrarily. Our solution, decentralized platform where users own their content, verify authenticity through blockchain, and can't be deplatformed by some algorithm or random moderator. That sounds actually interesting, right? The problem is explaining it without sounding like we're trying to scam people. Also, the tech is complicated, the user experience for crypto wallets is terrible, and we need to make it so simple that my mom could use it. That's where you come in. Me? Derek says you're brilliant at simplifying complex systems. That's what we need. Everyone else on the team, myself included, we get lost in the weeds. We need someone who can build elegant solutions. Justin felt something unfamiliar. Interest. Actual, genuine interest in a project. What's the catch? Besides the high probability of failure, the long hours, and the fact that we're competing against billion-dollar companies,
Riley tilted her head. Honestly, the catch is Derek. He's a visionary, which is great, except when he pivots the entire product direction because he read an article at 2 a.m. We need people who can push back, keep him grounded. And you think I can do that? I think anyone who described crypto as elaborate beanie babies for tech bros has the right level of skepticism. She finished her coffee. Plus, you're clearly running from something. People running from something work really hard. It's sad, but useful. You're very honest. I'm efficient. Honesty saves time. She stood up. Come on, we should get back before Derek sends a search party. He's probably already created 17 Slack channels with increasingly desperate names. As they walked back, Austin's heat wrapping around them like an aggressive hug, Justin felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. Curiosity about tomorrow. It wasn't happiness. Not yet. But it was something. Chapter 4. The first week. If Justin had known what startup life actually meant, he might have reconsidered. But ignorance, as they say, is bliss, until it's replaced by exhaustion, confusion, and a concerning amount of Red Bull. Day 1 consisted of Derek presenting his vision with the enthusiasm of a man who discovered fire. 47 slides. 6 mentions of paradigm shift. 3 references to disrupting the status quo. 1 awkward attempt at a Steve Jobs impression, and a partridge in a pear tree. This is not true, but at some point Justin's brain started making things up. Questions? Derek asked, eyes shining with the fervor of true belief. Yeah, Marcus said. How do we actually build any of this? That's what Justin's here for. All eyes turned to Justin, who realized he'd been set up. I need to see the current code base first? Great idea. Trevor, show him the servers. Trevor looked personally offended by this request, but led Justin to a back room that smelled like electronics and broken dreams. Racks of servers hum ominously. This is the current infrastructure, Trevor said with the pride of a parent showing off an ugly baby. Custom built, fully optimized, no dependencies on cloud services. Justin examined the setup. It was impressive in the way that a house of cards is impressive. Technically functional, but one wrong move from disaster. This is certainly something. I know, Trevor said, misunderstanding Justin's tone. Beautiful, right? Over the next few days, Justin discovered several things. Derek's revolutionary idea changed approximately every 6 hours. Sarah was a marketing genius who could make even their half-baked ideas sound world-changing. Marcus had a wife and 2 kids and somehow still worked 12-hour days, which seemed both impressive and concerning. And Trevor might actually be a server himself, based on how rarely he seemed to sleep or eat. And Riley was complicated. Riley seemed to exist in a state of perpetual motion. Product meetings, user research, design mock-ups, arguing with Derek about scope creep, she was everywhere, doing everything, and somehow making it look effortless. She was also, Justin noticed, and tried not to notice, really good at her job. These user flows make no sense, she announced during a product review, crossing out half of Marcus's front-end design. Why would anyone click through 17 screens to post something? We need to streamline. But the security verification, Marcus started, can happen in the background. Users don't care about how secure it is if it's too annoying to use. Security through obscurity is just making people hate your product. She's right, Justin found himself saying. Everyone looked at him. What? She is. We can run the verification processes asynchronously, give users immediate feedback, confirm on the back end. Standard practice. Riley shot him a grateful look. See, the new guy gets it. The new guy has been here 3 days, Derek pointed out. And he's already more practical than you, Riley countered. Their relationship was fascinating to watch. Part siblings, part rivals, part mutual respect society. Derek would propose something crazy, Riley would shoot it down, they'd argue, and somehow a reasonable idea would emerge. Justin started to understand his role. Translator. He could take Derek's vision and Riley's pragmatism and turn them into actual buildable features. It was kind of fun.
On day 5, Justin was debugging a particularly stubborn authentication issue at 11 p.m. when Riley appeared beside his desk with 2 beers. "You're still here. So are you." "Touché." She handed him a beer. "Trevor says you fixed the load balancing issue he'd been struggling with for a week." "It wasn't that hard, just needed fresh eyes." "Trevor doesn't give compliments, ever. He told me you might be acceptable, which in Trevor speak means he wants to build a shrine to you." Justin laughed, surprising himself. When was the last time he'd actually laughed? Riley settled into the chair next to him, propping her combat boots on his desk. "So, 1 week in Austin. Regrets?" "Ask me when I've had more sleep." "Fair. Derek's pace is unsustainable, by the way. You know that, right? This whole work until you drop thing, it's exciting at first, but it burns people out." "Speaking from experience?" "I've been with Derek for 2 years now. This is our 3rd startup attempt. The first one failed because we ran out of money. The second one failed because we ran out of energy. Trying to make this one stick. 3rd time's the charm? Or 3rd strike, you're out." She took a sip of beer. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "What are you actually running from? And don't say Madison, because the heartbreak thing doesn't fully explain the upending my entire life decision." Justin stared at his code, lines of text blurring together. "I was comfortable," he said finally. "My old job, my old life, it was fine. Not great, not terrible, just fine. And I realized I could see my entire future. Same job, same apartment, same friends, same restaurants. Nothing would ever change. I'd just exist, comfortably numb, until I died. That's dark." Madison leaving kind of crystallized it. She wasn't the problem. She was a symptom. I was sleepwalking through my life, and she saw it before I did. Riley was quiet for a moment. "That's surprisingly self-aware. Therapy would have been cheaper than moving states. But less exciting. Here's what I think. You're not running from comfort. You're running toward discomfort. Because discomfort means growth, means change, means you're actually alive. When did you become a philosopher? I contain multitudes." She stood up. "Come on, we're leaving." "But I'm in the middle of." "It'll still be broken tomorrow. That's the beauty of code. It's consistently disappointing. Let's go." "Where?" "There's a taco truck on 6th Street that's open until 2 a.m. and will change your life. You've been in Austin a week and haven't had proper tacos. This is a crime." Justin looked at his screen, then at Riley's expectant face, and made a decision. Okay, let's get tacos." Riley's smile was worth whatever bugs awaited him tomorrow. Chapter 5. The Pivot. Week 3 began with Derek calling an emergency all-hands meeting, which in startup terms meant everything you've worked on is about to be irrelevant. "I've been thinking," Derek announced, which prompted groans from everyone except Justin, who hadn't yet learned that this phrase meant chaos. "Dangerous," Riley muttered. "What if we're approaching this wrong? What if, instead of building a decentralized social network, we build a decentralized content verification system that other platforms can plug into? We become the infrastructure, not the platform." Silence. "That's actually not insane," Marcus said cautiously. Riley sat up straighter. "That solves our user acquisition problem. Instead of competing with Twitter and Facebook, we become a service they use." "It's more realistic," Sarah added. "Easier to market we verify authentic content than please abandon everything familiar and use our weird new platform." Everyone looked at Justin. "Why are you all looking at me?" "Because you have to rebuild everything," Trevor said with barely concealed glee. "Everything." Justin processed this. 3 weeks of work essentially scrapped. He should be upset. Instead, he felt energized. "It's a better idea," he admitted. "The architecture makes more sense as a service layer, API-driven, platform-agnostic. We could actually build something useful instead of another social media graveyard." Derek beamed. "See, this is why I hired you people. You get it." "This is the 4th pivot," Riley said. 4th. We're running out of runway here, Derek. We need to commit to something. I am committed. This is it. This is the real vision. You said that about the last 3 versions. But this time, I mean it. Riley looked at Justin, something exhausted in her expression. He understood. Derek was a lot, brilliant and exhausting in equal measure. I'll start redesigning the back end, Justin said. But Derek, Riley's right. This has to be it. We can't keep pivoting. Pick a direction and we'll make it work, but we need stability. Derek's enthusiasm dimmed slightly. You're right. You're both right. Okay, this is it. No more pivots. We're building a content verification infrastructure, and we're going to be so good at it that platforms will beg to use us. Put it in writing, Riley said. What? Put it in writing. I'm making you sign a contract that says no more pivots, so next time you want to change everything, I can legally shame you with your own signature. That's oddly specific. I've been hurt before. Despite the chaos, the new direction felt right. Justin threw himself into redesigning the architecture, working late nights, living on coffee, and those life-changing tacos Riley had introduced him to. He also, despite his best intentions, started noticing things about Riley. Like how she chewed on her pen when thinking, how she argued with Derek with the familiarity of someone who genuinely cared, how she'd leave sticky notes on people's monitors with encouraging messages or terrible puns, how she laughed at Justin's dry comments, really laughed, like she got his sense of humor. You're staring again, Marcus said one afternoon. Justin jumped. What? No, I was thinking about database architecture. Sure, database architecture named Riley. I don't know what you're talking about. Look, word of advice from someone who's been married for 8 years, if you like her, just tell her. This whole pining thing is exhausting to watch. I'm not pining, I just got out of a relationship. I'm not looking for anything. Nobody's ever looking for anything. That's not how it works. You just suddenly notice someone, and boom, you're done for. That's not helpful. Wasn't trying to be helpful, was trying to be honest. Marcus returned to his code. Also, she brings you coffee every morning specifically the way you like it. Just saying. Justin blinked. Did she? He tried to remember. Riley did bring coffee sometimes, but that was just being nice, right? Being a good coworker? Except she knew he preferred cold brew with a shot of vanilla, and she'd never asked. She just observed and remembered. No. He wasn't doing this. He'd just escaped one emotional disaster. He wasn't diving into another one, especially not with a coworker at a startup where they spent more time together than was probably healthy. That way lay madness. His phone buzzed. A text from Riley. Emergency taco run. You in? Justin told himself he was only agreeing because he was hungry. He was a very good liar, except to himself. Chapter 6. The Almost Kiss. It happened on a Friday night, 6 weeks into Justin's Austin adventure. The team had actually hit a milestone, rare in startup life. Their content verification API was functional, elegant, and passed Trevor's impossible testing standards. Derek had declared a celebration mandatory. We're going to 6th Street, Sarah announced. We're going to drink overpriced cocktails, listen to mediocre live music, and pretend we're normal people with normal jobs. I'm not normal, Trevor said. We know, buddy. We know. The bar Sarah chose was one of those Austin institutions, half dive, half trendy, full of people who took their casual aesthetic very seriously. A band played country rock fusion that was either genius or terrible. Justin couldn't decide. Derek bought a round of shots. To pivoting, he toasted. To never pivoting again, Riley corrected, clinking her glass against his. The tequila burned exactly as much as it should. Justin felt his anxiety loosen, replaced by something lighter. He ended up at the bar next to Riley, both of them watching Derek attempt to dance with a confidence that far exceeded his ability. He's a disaster, Riley said fondly. Endearing, though. That's Derek's superpower. He's just sincere enough that you forgive the chaos. She ordered another drink. So, 6 weeks. Verdict on the new life? Better than the old one. That's a low bar if your old life involved wallowing in video games. Hey, those video games had excellent graphics and complex moral choices. Riley laughed. What's the most complex moral choice you've made recently? Saying yes to Derek. Coming here. This whole thing. Any regrets? Justin looked at her. Really looked. She'd dressed up tonight, traded her usual t-shirt for something that actually looked like an outfit. Her hair was down instead of in its usual messy bun. She looked different, but also exactly the same. No regrets, he said. Something shifted in the air between them. Riley held his gaze. Can I tell you something? She asked. Sure. I wasn't sure about you at first. Derek has a tendency to collect strays, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. But you're different. You actually care about building something good, not just building something fast. I'm not that special. You are, though. Marcus worships you. Trevor tolerates you, which is practically a marriage proposal from him, and Sarah says you're the only person Derek actually listens to besides me. What do you think? I think, Riley paused, I think you're the first person Derek's hired who I could actually see being friends with. Real friends, not just work friends. We're friends? Justin's heart did something complicated. Aren't we? We have tacos together at midnight. I know you prefer cold brew with vanilla. You know I hate mornings and love terrible puns.
That seems like friendship. Yeah, Justin said, suddenly aware of how close they were standing. Friends. Riley bit her lip, a gesture that made Justin's brain short-circuit slightly. What if, she started. Justin! Riley! Derek crashed into them, literally, all drunken enthusiasm and poor spatial awareness. We're doing karaoke! Trevor's going to sing! Trevor! Singing! This is unprecedented! The moment shattered. Riley stepped back, something complicated crossing her face. We should, karaoke. Let's go witness Trevor's hidden talents. They followed Derek back to the group, and whatever happened in the almost. Trevor's rendition of I Will Always Love You was surprisingly good, which became the running joke for the rest of the night. Justin tried to recapture that moment with Riley, but it had passed, replaced by group dynamics and Trevor's unexpected vocal range. At 2 a.m., they stumbled out onto 6th Street. Sarah had already disappeared with Marcus. Trevor had mysteriously vanished, probably back to his servers. Derek was being poured into an Uber by someone who looked resigned to this being a regular occurrence. Which left Justin and Riley on the sidewalk. The Austin heat finally mellowed to something almost pleasant. I should go, Riley said. Yeah, me too. Neither of them moved. What were you going to say? Justin asked, before Derek interrupted. Riley looked at him, and Justin saw something vulnerable there, rare for someone usually so composed. I was going to say that working with you has been the best part of this startup, and that scares me a little. Why? Because I've seen what happens when people date at work. It gets messy, and we're building something important. I don't want to mess that up. Who said anything about dating? Justin, you look at me like I'm a puzzle you're trying to solve, and I look at you like...
Never mind. Like what? Like, you could be either the best decision or the worst mistake, and I'm not ready to find out which. The honesty was harsh and kind simultaneously. So friends, Justin said. Friends, Riley agreed. They stood there, two people pretending that friends was what they actually wanted. This is stupid, Justin said suddenly. We're both adults. We like each other. Why are we pretending we don't? Because we work together. Because you just got out of a heartbreak. Because Derek would be insufferable if we dated and broke up. Because startups fail 90% of the time. And I don't want to lose you as a colleague when I might lose you as anything else. Those are all logical reasons. I'm a logical person. What if I said I don't care about any of that? Riley smiled sadly. I'd say you're still processing Madison, and I'm a rebound dressed up as something more. You're not a rebound. How do you know? Justin opened his mouth and realized he didn't have an answer. Not a good one. Riley was right. It had only been 2 months since Madison. How could he be sure what he felt was real and not just the excitement of someone new? I don't, he admitted. I just know that when I'm around you, I forget to feel sorry for myself, and that seems significant. That's sweet, but forgetting to feel sorry for yourself isn't a foundation for a relationship. That's just distraction. Is that all I am to you? A distraction? No. Riley's voice softened. You're a complication I don't need, but really want. The Uber pulled up. Riley's, apparently, from how she glanced at it. I'm going to go, she said, and on Monday, we're going to pretend this conversation didn't happen, and we're going to keep being professionals, who are also friends, who sometimes get tacos. Okay? And if I don't want to pretend, then you're going to make this really hard for both of us. She got in the Uber, and Justin watched it drive away, taking with it whatever could have been. On Monday, true to her word, Riley acted like nothing had happened. Professional, friendly, coworker appropriate. It was infuriating. It was also probably the right call. But since when had Justin cared about the right call? Chapter 7, The Downward Spiral and Subsequent Recovery. Week 10 began with disaster. Not the dramatic kind with explosions and emergency meetings, the quiet kind, where you realize everything you've built might be fundamentally flawed. The verification system has a problem, Trevor announced at the daily stand-up, which was a sentence that made everyone's blood pressure spike. Define problem, Derek said carefully. Someone could theoretically game the blockchain verification if they controlled enough nodes. We're not actually as decentralized as we thought. It's a fundamental architecture issue. All eyes turned to Justin. How is this my fault? He protested. You designed the back end, Marcus pointed out, not unkindly. Based on specifications that didn't account for this attack vector. The argument spiraled from there. Derek got defensive, Trevor got technical, Marcus tried to mediate, Sarah looked at her phone to avoid the conflict, and Riley just looked tired. After the meeting dissolved into general chaos, Justin found her on the roof, where apparently people went to contemplate failure. So, he said, sitting down beside her, that went well. We're going to have to rebuild. Again. Yep. I'm exhausted, Justin. I'm so tired of pivoting and rebuilding and pretending this is all going to work out. It was the first time he'd heard her sound defeated. You don't think it will? I don't know. I want it to. I've invested 2 years of my life in Derek's vision. But what if it's just a vision? What if it never becomes reality? Justin didn't have a good answer. Instead, he said, tell me why you're doing this. Really doing this. Riley was quiet for a long moment. My mom worked at a tech company for 15 years. Middle management, decent salary, nothing special. Then the company got acquired, and they fired half the staff, including her. She'd given them everything, evenings, weekends, her health, and they let her go with 2-week severance. I decided then that I'd never work for someone else's dream, only mine, or someone I believed in. And you believe in Derek? I believe in what we could build. User-owned platforms, authentic content, breaking the monopoly of the big tech companies. I believe in the idea. She looked at him. Do you? I believe in good code, in elegant solutions, in building things that work. He paused. And I believe in the people I'm building it with. Riley smiled, and it was like sun breaking through clouds. That was smooth. I have my moments. We should fix this. The architecture flaw? Yeah, you and me. Let's pull an all-nighter, tear apart the system, and build it right. No pivoting, no changing direction, just solving the actual problem. That sounds terrible. Yep, I'm in. They worked through the night, fueled by coffee, spite, and the kind of focused intensity that comes from everything else falling away. Just code, problems, solutions. Around 3 a.m., punch-drunk from exhaustion, Riley started laughing. What? We're voluntarily not sleeping to fix a crypto startup's architecture. We're the people our parents warned us about. Justin laughed too. My mom thinks I work at a nice computer company. I haven't had the heart to tell her what we actually do. My dad asked if we were doing the Bitcoin thing. I said yes, because explaining proof of stake versus proof of work seemed like too much effort. Are we crazy? Is this crazy? Completely. Riley stretched, vertebrae cracking. But it's our crazy. That counts for something. By 6 a.m., they had a solution. Not perfect, but workable. A new architecture that actually addressed the centralization concerns. We did it, Justin said, staring at the whiteboard covered in diagrams. We did something. Whether it works is Trevor's problem now. They were standing close again, the way they had been at the bar. But this time, exhausted and victorious, it felt different. Riley, Justin started. Don't what? Whatever you're about to say. I'm tired and vulnerable, and if you say something sweet right now, I might make a decision I regret. Who says you'd regret it? Justin, I like you. I really like you. But I meant what I said. We work together. We're building something, and I won't risk that for something that might not work out. What if it does work out? Then we'll have wasted time we could have spent together by being cautious. But that's a better outcome than the alternative. Justin knew she was right. Logically, professionally, sensibly, she was absolutely right. But for once, Justin didn't want to be sensible. What if I'm willing to risk it? Riley's expression softened. Then you're braver than me. Or more foolish. Probably both. The moment hung between them, full of potential and uncertainty. Trevor burst through the door. I heard we have a solution? The spell broke. Yeah, Riley said, stepping away. Justin figured it out. Check the whiteboard. She left before Justin could respond, and he was left with Trevor enthusiastically dissecting their architecture and the ghost of what could have been. Chapter 8, The Confession. Week 12 brought two things, validation and vindication. Their new architecture worked. Better than worked. It solved the problems elegantly, impressed their potential investors, and even made Trevor smile, which was basically like witnessing a cryptid. Derek was ecstatic. This is it. This is what we're taking to market. Justin, you're a genius. Riley, you're a genius. Everyone's a genius. That's not how genius works, Riley said, but she was smiling. A major tech company reached out, interested in partnering. Their content verification system as a plug-in for an existing platform. Exactly what they'd pivoted to build. We did it, said Sarah at the celebration dinner Derek insisted on. We actually built something people want. Don't jinx it, Marcus warned. Too late. I'm jinxing. We're going to be successful. We're going to disrupt an industry where... Sarah, please stop, Riley said. You're making Trevor uncomfortable. Trevor nodded gratefully. Justin felt something strange. Pride. Not in his code, though that was good. Pride in what they'd built together. This weird, dysfunctional, brilliant team. After dinner, walking back to the office, because apparently they all lived there now, Derek pulled Justin aside. I need to tell you something. Should I be worried? Maybe. Probably not. Look, when I called you 2 months ago, you weren't my first choice. Wow, thanks. Let me finish. You weren't my first choice because I thought you'd say no. You were too comfortable, too settled. I almost didn't call, but Riley told me to. Riley? She'd seen your GitHub, read some article you wrote about system architecture, said you were exactly what we needed, someone brilliant who didn't know how brilliant they were. She insisted I recruit you. Oh, yeah, oh. So whatever weird tension is between you two, figure it out, because she believed in you before you even knew this existed. Derek clapped him on the shoulder and walked ahead, leaving Justin processing this information. Riley had wanted him here. From the beginning. He found her later, in the office, because of course she was in the office at 10 p.m. on a Friday. We have to stop meeting like this, Riley said without looking up. People will talk. Let them. She looked up then. That's a change in attitude. Derek told me you insisted he recruit me. Derek has a big mouth. Why didn't you say anything? Riley closed her laptop. Because it would have been weird? Hi, new coworker I've never met. I've been following your code repositories for 6 months because I'm a professional stalker. 6 months? You wrote a really good article about microservices architecture. It came up when I was researching potential hires. I got curious. She shrugged. Your code was elegant, thoughtful. You could tell a lot about someone from how they code, and your code said you were someone worth knowing. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. I'm complimenting your professional skills. Sure, that's definitely all it was. Riley sighed. Justin, I'm not Madison's rebound. I'm not confused about what I want, and I'm tired of pretending that this, us, isn't something worth exploring. We work together. We'll work together whether we date or not. That's not changing. If it ends badly, we'll be adults about it. But Riley, what if it doesn't end badly? What if it's actually good? She looked at him, and he saw the same fear and hope warring in her expression. I'm scared, she admitted quietly. Me too. I don't want to lose you as a colleague. You won't. You can't promise that. You're right, but I can promise I'll try. That I'll care about this, about us, professional and personal, enough to not let it fall apart just because relationships are hard. Riley stood up, walked around the desk until she was standing directly in front of him. If we do this, we do it right. No office drama, no making things weird for everyone else. We're professionals who also happen to be dating. Agreed. And if Derek makes one joke about us, I reserve the right to murder him. Seems fair. And we take it slow, real slow, because she stopped. Because what? Because I really like you, and that terrifies me. Justin smiled. I really like you too. The terror seems proportional. This is a terrible idea. Probably. We're going to do it anyway? Yeah. Riley kissed him then. Soft, tentative, full of promise and uncertainty. When they broke apart, she was smiling. So, we're doing this. We're doing this. Cool. Glad that's settled. Now, about these code reviews you've been ignoring. Justin laughed, and it felt like coming home. Epilogue, 6 months later. Chainlinks Labs Content Verification API launched to moderate success. Not explosive, world-changing success, but the real, sustainable kind. 3 major platforms integrated their system. Derek was already planning expansion. Riley had her own office now, which mostly meant she had a door to close when Derek's enthusiasm became overwhelming. Justin had finally unpacked the last box in his Austin apartment, an apartment he shared with Riley, which had seemed like a crazy decision that somehow worked. Your mom called, Riley said, walking into their living room with 2 beers. What did you tell her? That we're busy disrupting paradigms and shifting industrial landscapes. You did not. I did not. I said maybe Thanksgiving. She settled onto the couch beside him. Also, Madison sent you a LinkedIn connection request. Justin looked at his phone. There it was. Are you going to accept it? Riley asked, casual in a way that suggested she very much cared about the answer. Justin declined the request. I'm good. No curiosity about what she's up to? Not really. I hope she's happy, genuinely. But that life, that version of me, it feels like a different person. Good answer. Riley kissed his temple. Very emotionally mature. I've been practicing. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that comes from actually knowing someone, from building something together, professionally, personally, all the complicated ways humans connect. Do you regret it? Riley asked. Leaving everything, coming here? Justin thought about it. About his old life. Comfortable, predictable, slowly suffocating. About Derek's call. That moment of choosing uncertainty over comfort. Best terrible decision I ever made. We're a startup success story. They'll probably make us give a TED Talk. I'd rather die. Same. But at least we'd die together, awkwardly on stage, disappointing an audience of tech enthusiasts. Romantic. I contain multitudes. Justin's phone buzzed. Derek, naturally, with an all-caps message about a new feature idea. He never stops, Justin said. That's why we love him. Do we, though? We tolerate him with great affection. More accurate. Riley stood, pulling Justin up with her. Come on, we're going to get tacos, ignore Derek's messages for at least an hour, and pretend we're normal people with normal lives. We're never going to be normal. I know, isn't it great? It was. As they walked out into the Austin night, humid, alive, full of possibility, Justin realized he'd stopped thinking about what he was running from. Now he was just running toward things, better things.
Uncertain things. Scary, wonderful, complicated things. And maybe that was the real success story. Not the startup, not the code, not the pivot from heartbreak to hope. Just the willingness to keep choosing discomfort over numbness, uncertainty over safety, connection over isolation. Even when, especially when, it was terrifying. "What are you smiling about?" Riley asked. "Nothing. Everything. This. Specific. I'm working on it." "Good. You have the rest of your life to practice." And somehow, impossibly, that didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a promise. The end.
I love making these videos for you. If you liked this story, then please like, subscribe to my channel, and switch on the notifications for more entertaining stories. Please also leave a comment for any story suggestions.